guys, John here for another vlog about one thing that everyone's been asking me to vlog about for a long time, and I apologize for not getting this out sooner, but it's Ralliart handling and how to increase Ralliart handling, your 2009 to 2015 Ralliart handling for the track-minded person that wants to compete with EVOs, STIs, and like other stuff like that. A couple of things I want to get out of the way right now. Just a quick disclaimer, this is just based on my experiences and my opinions with all of the people and all the shops I've worked with over the last couple of years in setting up both my Ralliart and my Evo for the track. And this is kind of like a guidelines video of how I went about setting up my cars, but this doesn't mean this is the end-all, say-all of how you should set up your suspension, because of course there's going to be people who know more than me, people who are suspension experts that can tell you I'm completely wrong and I'm stupid, but this is how I set my suspension. This is what I've experienced over the last couple of years running track events all the time. So yeah, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. That's with everything on the internet, right? So here we go. So first thing I get asked a lot is how to select what suspension components to add. My answer is always first, number one, drive the car 100% stock at the track. Go get instruction, go to a high-performance driving event, take it on all-season tires, stock suspension, stock brakes, stock everything. Go stock. Once you drive the car stock, you will realize when you plateau and when you hit that area of performance driving where you are pushing the car so hard to the point where you can't get any more out of it. And that's the one thing I think everyone kind of rushes past, is the fact that cars are pretty competent stock. You don't need to do too much and make it into this crazy monster right away. It's all based on time experience. Seat time is the most important thing. But when you figure out flaws that you see, that you personally see with the way a car handles, that's when you have to start thinking about, oh, okay, how do I remedy this problem or this problem? The Ralliart specifically has the tendency to push understeer really terribly mid-corner on power. So it drives kind of like a Porsche in the way that you have to be off power until you're at the apex, and then you can just power out. And this serves kind of a problem because it'll slow you down once you get to the point where you can be fast enough to get on power mid-corner and stay through power or modulate the throttle. But this comes with experience. So what I did personally to remedy this problem after I figured out that yes, I hated the way it pushed through corners. I hated the way I would hear the front tires squealing, and I would have to jerk the wheel all the way to the left to make a left-hand turn on power, and I would just feel like I'm sliding like a front-wheel drive car. I kind of figured out, okay, I really want the car to rotate. I want my cars to feel more like rear-wheel drive and kind of rotate, and I can get into a little drift if I want to. Because that's just the way I kind of like things. So the first thing I did was upgraded sway bars, and I got a WHITELINE 24mm in the rear. I left the stock in the front actually. Later I would upgrade it, but I left the stock front bar, and I drove it with the rear bar set all the way stiff, and I just left everything on stock for a little bit. And this proved to be useful because the car would start to rotate a bit earlier, it would stiffen up a little bit in the rear. It just felt overall a little bit more solid after I figured out, yeah, there's too many body movements, like the body was like kind of swaying back and forth mid-corner, and I didn't like the way it was driving. I went to coilovers, and this is a big point of contention for a lot of people, is what coilovers should I buy? Should I buy really expensive coilovers? Should I buy entry-level coilovers? What is the first set of coilovers I should buy? And my answer is do research. Do research, talk to different manufacturers, talk to different people about what suits you the best and what suits your price point the best. Me personally, I called up a few different companies. I called up Fortunato, I called up Field Suspension, I called up Öhlins, I called up Bilstein. I called up all these different companies and talked to each individual company. And the two that I chose to go with, because they suited my needs the best, were Fortunato and Field Suspension. These two guys, Odie at Field set up my Evo's road race suspension now, and Fortunato set up my Ralliart's road race suspension back in the day. Fortunato and Field both have the same kind of philosophy on suspension tuning and and valving and stuff. What both of them do is they take the shocks or the coilover body, and then they pair it with a spring rate of your choice. So you have to kind of come in knowing what you want, and they can also advise you, but you have to kind of come in knowing what you want the car to do, your driving style, stuff like that, and you have to tell them what you want. And what they will do is they will pair a shock or a coilover body and a spring together, and then valve the two together. They send a nice sheet of a shock dyno, so you can tell what each click of dampening adjustment does. And they also give you recommended specs and how to set up the car. And you can always call them anytime. You can always talk to them about what you want changed, and they can always help you out. And these two companies really prove themselves to me, because I run fuel suspension on my Evo right now, and it's perfect. It's very compliant. It soaks up all the bumps, but it does what a coilover is supposed to do, and reduce body movements and be very compliant. You can go with something like an Öhlins DFV or something expensive. I'm not sure what the equivalent is for the Ralliart, because I haven't done research in a while. But you can go to the expensive double, triple adjustable coilovers. But for the majority of people that drive on the track for high performance driving events or even time attack, you only need either single adjustables or double adjustables. Those are really all you need. You just need a very well paired coilover body and spring valve together. This is the most important thing that I can't stress enough. And you can compare the difference if you ride in someone's car with BCBR coilovers versus if you ride in my Evo with Feel 441s. They're custom valved for my needs and for my car's weight and the tires that I'm running and my driving style. And this is all the stuff they take into account when they valve the specific coilover for your car. Now, once you find out like what coilovers you're going with, what like suspension components you want, like sway bars and end links and stuff, the other biggest thing is getting an alignment. And this is something that people kind of skip over, like, oh, it's just an alignment. Oh, I just need my car to drive straight. No, this isn't the fact. When you are trying to drive a car fast, contact patch changes with your tires, and the suspension geometry changes under load. And there's a lot of things that you need to take into account when you are aligning your car for the track. Now, I always suggest going out and driving it with zero all around and seeing what happens, but the Ralliart, I can tell you in advance, the turn-in is very sloppy. There's not a lot of initial turn-in with the car because the caster is set from the factory so low. So I would honestly dial in about as much caster as possible stock. I know that a lot of cars, I'm not sure about the Ralliart, but I know a lot of cars can't adjust too much caster. With the Fortunato coilovers, with the coilover setup, you probably can adjust caster a lot more. As much caster as possible on the front of the car, as well as dial in a little bit of camber. So dial in 1.5 to 2.5 degrees. And this is just a starting point in the front, because then you're going to feel the initial turn-in. And the initial turn-in is what is really one of the most important things, because you need to have confidence in the way your car changes direction in a timely manner, and with that kind of front alignment, it will help. Now in the rear, I like to dial in about a degree of camber in the rear to 1.5 degrees in the rear, as well as add about a 1/16th of a degree toe in, I believe. I think it was toe in. I'll check my spec sheet when I can, but this will allow the car to rotate a little bit more, and this is just the way I like my alignment set up. My Evo's is much more aggressive, but this is just a good starting place for anyone that wants to kind of start out with the performance of alignment. After you kind of get your alignment specs set, go drive. Have some fun, try to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and if there's any other things that you don't like about the car's handling dynamics, then you can get into researching about how to change mid-corner understeer, mid-corner oversteer, or lift-off oversteer. There's a lot of things that you can change about the car's handling dynamics that I can't tell you personally, because I kind of have my car set up already, and I kind of went through the motions of how I want my car set up. But if there's something that you don't like about the car, feel free to shoot me a message, see what I think about it, go talk to Feel or Fortunato or Öhlins or someone, and get a better idea of what you're dealing with. Because I'm not a suspension expert. I know what I'm talking about, but there are a lot of people that spend their lives developing suspension, developing race-oriented suspension. I'm just an engineering student. I don't do that, not yet at least. But I hope you guys really kind of benefited from this video a little bit more. I'll put links down to the description for Fortunato, for Feel, for Olin's, and feel free to hit me up for any parts inquiries. I do work for Pristine Parts, pristineparts.com, yeah, I really hope you guys benefited from this video, and I'll talk to you soon. If you have any more questions, or if I can think of anything else, I'll add them in the comments or add a document upload or something, but that's all I can think of for now. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give me feedback. Tell me what you think. If any of you try this stuff out, I'd love to see track videos. I'd love to see more of my subscribers giving me feedback. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.